If you ask a furry what the fandom is like, many will probably tell you that the furry community is a creative cosplay group that celebrates individuality, creativity, and acceptance. For many people, it's a carefree, comforting, and safe environment where you can escape into this fantasy world of fursuits and anthro-animal characters. But there are many people who've experienced negativity or even bullying in the fandom itself, and I'd like to highlight some of those people's experiences. Today, I'd like to shed some light on issues we face as a community and how we can do better at being the accepting group we want and strive to be. There's an ongoing meme/stereotype that furries are suspiciously rich and have high-paying IT or government jobs. These high-paying jobs allow these furries to buy these expensive fursuits. Business Insider did an entire article on how intertwined many furries are with the IT and tech industry, along with many popular furries in the community having high-paying jobs outside their furry hobby. Where, yes, many of these furries that can afford these costumes are very wealthy. But the furry community is huge, and there are thousands of people who are furries that participate in the subculture that don't own fursuits at all. There are plenty of members that can't afford custom-made fursuits or just don't want one. Allow me to put into perspective what exactly goes into a fursuit for those who aren't familiar. Fursuits are custom, wearable, handcrafted works of art. Creating a fursuit requires skills in foam carving, sculpting, fur patterning, and shaving, sewing, and plenty of other technical skills that make these once-drawn characters come to life. These high-quality, custom-fitted costumes can't just simply be bought off an online store like Amazon. Let's say you find a fursuit maker who's experienced in the skill and well-known for being a reliable fursuit maker. For this video, I'm going to be using Lemon Brat, who is a very well-known fursuit maker in the community, as examples for the general price range of high-quality fursuits. Just a fursuit head, on average, can cost between $3,350 to $4,000. These costs depend on the complexity of the character design. A custom set of hand paws can be between $400 and $800. A full custom tailored bodysuit can cost $2,000 to $7,000, including fursuit feet, and a tail can range from $600 to $1,000. But on average, if you want to just buy a high-quality, full-body custom fursuit with all the pieces attached from a well-known and reliable fursuit maker, it would, on average, cost $3,000 to $8,000, which for many people, that price is very out of reach. Now, this is definitely not being said to discourage anybody from buying a fursuit. Fursuit makers are skilled artists with years of experience and deserve every penny for how much work goes into creating their custom costumes. They're worth it like any high-priced piece of art, like a tattoo from a skilled tattoo artist or a gorgeous painting from a talented painter. Specialized crafts deserve respect and commissions for sure. But on the flip side, most people still want to enjoy the cosplaying aspect of the furry community, but can't afford to spend thousands of dollars. Consider some newer furries may want to invest in something cheaper first, and then buy a more expensive fursuit later. Some might find it easier and a lower commitment to purchase a costume from websites like Amazon, AliExpress, or Temu. These, in theory, are far cheaper alternatives that give people like younger furries or those on a tighter budget a chance to dress up as their favorite character without having to break the bank to do so. Unfortunately, companies like Amazon, AliExpress, and Temu are incredibly exploitative and should not be shopped at if at all possible. These fursuits may have appealing costumes listed for only $100 to $600, and the images on the site look just as good as the fursuits made by actual fursuit makers, which seem like a great deal in theory, but once purchased, customers come to realize that they are very low quality and not at all like the picture. Reviews on these suits are typically incredibly negative, showing that what they purchase is completely different from the image. Because usually, these companies use photos from real fursuits that already exist online, and are made by a real artist. These photos of these suits are used for advertisements that are somebody else's original character that they designed and commissioned their own costume for. Then these companies produce a fast, cheap copy of the design that doesn't belong to them and is somebody else's entirely. Famous furries and fursuits in the community have had this happen to their character and costume, where their fursuit is listed on Amazon or AliExpress, which is unfair to the person who made the character, the artist who crafted the fursuit, that is having their work used as an ad for a false product, along with the customer who purchased this product off of this website and got ripped off hundreds of dollars. Both the customer, artist, and commissioner get exploited by these big businesses. Along with all of these issues, these companies should also be avoided as much as possible for other reasons. Amazon warehouses specifically have been reported by the US Department of Labor having unsafe conditions, along with the crushing small businesses and exploiting their employees. Temu has had many controversies with data leaking, along with unethical business practices. Temu and AliExpress are not considered an ethical brand due to the lack of transparency in its supply chain and potential links to forced labor. Data privacy concerns, environmental impact from fast fashion prices, and excessive carbon emissions from global shipping are also problems that these companies have. The U.S. House Select Committee on the Chinese Communist Party published reports that state Temu does not take the necessary steps to ensure the products on the site comply with the Uyghur Forced Labor Act. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. In case nobody is familiar, the UFPLA was signed into law as the U.S. response to the Chinese government's systemic use of forced labor against the Uyghurs and other ethnic minorities in the People's Republic of China. The UFPLA directs the Forced Labor Enforcement Task Force to develop a strategy for supporting enforcement of the prohibition on the importation of goods into the United States manufactured wholly or in part with forced labor in the People's Republic of China. So basically, this is a law set into place for consumers and employees, but Temu's business is not confirming that they're able to abide by these labor laws. Which the fact this company can't confirm or deny that they're using slave labor is kind of shady. But to quickly summarize, these companies produce mass amounts of cheaply made products that pollute the environment with excessive carbon emissions, along with horrible working conditions for their employees, and hurting small businesses and taking money that could have been used to buy a fursuit from a real artist. But for many new furries in the community, or those who may not initially know where to get a fursuit, a website as popular as Amazon would seem like a good option. Unfortunately, new furries have experienced severe bullying from fellow furries due to this issue. Now, as we've discussed, getting materials from places like Amazon are not ideal, but insulting people and bullying those who just want to be included in our cosplaying community is very unacceptable. It goes against what the entire community stands for. I'd like to mention a story about a 10-year-old furry who's named Emma the Tiger, who has experienced verbal bullying at a convention for her costume. Her costume was known as a Maskimal, which is a tiger mask brand that is sold in stores like Walmart. Her costume was also made up of other cheaper costume parts, like mittens and a costume tail. Emma was there for the Fursuit photo shoot that takes place every con's massive fursuit gathering. She was approached by two fursuiters who started to mock her fursuit. Emma was so embarrassed that she ran out without her father, saying that she hated being a furry and didn't want to be in the fandom anymore. A writer by the name of Patch met her shortly after the incident and learned that later she was being overwhelmed with good messages after the incident. The word spread far and wide that furries of all shapes and sizes wanted to help Emma and show her what the fandom is really about. This would soon lead to a surprising ending. After Emma was bullied and ran out of the convention, her father and witnesses band together to take her back. People started rallying behind hashtags such as #EmmaIsAwesome and #BringEmmaBack2018. Art threads appeared in furry groups across Facebook, gathering art for Emma's tiger persona, and they reached out to her personally. Emma ended up gaining thousands of followers in just a few days. This is one of the many positive outcomes to such a horrible situation. Thanks to the overwhelming support and backlash against these negative individuals, this young girl felt accepted and welcomed into the community, with thousands of supportive tweets about her story. So, what do? Well, bullying someone for the quality of their costume is never acceptable. I asked my followers to share their experiences on potential bullying and exclusion for the quality of their costumes that they've experienced. One user comments this: "I've noticed when my suit was lower quality, less people would say hi or interact with me. Now that it's high quality, I have people talking to me and interacting with me. A thing that I always do personally is I make an effort to go out of my way to say hi and take photos with people with lower quality suits, as it made my day when people did that for me." Another user comments, "Don't listen to those who stomp on you for having a Spirit Halloween or a Dino Mask costume. Just block those types of people. When you enter a fandom, you do what makes you happy because you don't have to cater to others. For those who hate on someone with a cheaper mask, you can just say, Who cares if I have these things? They make me happy, and I'm not wearing it for you. But for those who can't afford fursuits, what are some cheaper alternatives, aside from Amazon, Temu, or AliExpress? I had my followers drop some helpful suggestions. Cat masks and Maskimals are usually sold at Walmart and have been customized and worn for years in the furry community. They're usually used as a much cheaper alternative to purchasing a fursuit. Some online businesses like Kimono X sell pre-felted cat masks that come with fur, teeth, eye mesh, and starting materials for whoever wants to make custom ones at home. Pretty recently, Spirit Halloween has been selling furry masks with moving jaws and paws. Target sells the very popular dino masks, which people have been using to customize with paint, clay, and fake fur. Handmade paper or cardboard fursuits have also grown in popularity. The Etsy shop Birdie Dog Shop sells patterns to make your own DIY wolf and cat masks, completely out of cardboard. This artist also makes custom fursuit-style masks that are much cheaper than fursuits and happen to be much more breathable, have better ventilation and vision. Also, smaller parts like ears and a tail, which is known as kimono mimi, have also become popular and lower commitment. Many of these alternatives are great for people who have medical conditions or sensory issues. Fursuits are giant foam and fur costumes, and people with disabilities may find a traditional fursuit dangerous for them. If you want to hear my further deep dive into disabled furries and how accessible the furry fandom is for this group, you can check out my video where I covered it. And of course, another way to get a custom-made fursuit is to try and make one yourself. But as we've discussed, buying products from Amazon or dropshipping companies is not ideal and very controversial in the furry community. Our fandom celebrates individuality and craftsmanship and custom art. So where do fursuit makers get their materials? Where do you go if you want to make your own costume but not sure where to start? I asked my followers for some resources. A list of companies is Big Z Fabrics, Foam Factory, K&P Magnets, Howl Fabric, Wok Wok, and stores like Michaels, Joann's, and Etsy are used for fursuit bases and other pieces for their costume. And with learning how to assemble and make the fursuits, there are many tutorials on YouTube and patterns available online on how to start one from scratch. It is most definitely not easy, and making one requires many hours of work and practice, and will most likely not turn out perfect on the first try. But the fact that people take their time to create their own unique character and express themselves with a wearable piece of art is something that is appreciated and celebrated. That's why such expensive, high-quality fursuits are given so much attention in the community. We recognize a costume when it is made with craftsmanship, dedication, and care. Furries tend to be patrons of the arts, and some people have the mindset that only those with the nicest and most expensive fursuits should be given the attention and the time of day, which is often very discouraging for those who aren't as wealthy and are just starting out, and this mindset should be checked out and corrected. But to summarize, the furry community is a group of people who value creativity and escapism through art and cosplay. But furries with beginner fursuits or costumes made with low-quality materials tend to feel isolated, left out, and sometimes bullied. Something we can do as a community is to be kind to people, especially at conventions and meetups. Maybe find someone with a low-quality fursuit or a dino mask and try to say hi. Ask for a picture with them and maybe ask them about their character and what inspired their design. These very simple acts of kindness go a long way in the community, and many people that do these simple acts end up finding lifelong friends. Many people have these positive interactions like this and get inspired to take their fursuit making craft further and could be the next big fursuit maker years later. Maybe these positive experiences inspire their next future career in costume design. Try not to bully or shame someone who wears knockoff fursuits from Amazon or AliExpress. Most likely, they aren't purchasing it maliciously or are some kind of imposter. The overwhelming likelihood is that they are just trying to get into the community and don't know how much craft is involved in making fursuits, or they can't afford a quality fursuit, or maybe both. Either way, that's not a reason to react negatively. Rather, try getting to know them, maybe understand where they're coming from, and kindly explain some ways to make their fursuit even cooler. Suggest modifications to upgrade it if it's already been purchased. New furries just want to dress up and have fun like everyone else. Don't mock or insult furries who use dino masks or or Spirit Halloween costumes. Just try to make the environment safe. Ask to take pictures with them and try to start up a conversation. People who go to conventions like to meet new friends and escape from the often harsh and stressful reality. Nobody wants to face bullying because someone doesn't like the way they express themselves. Being actively kind to fellow community members could really brighten and make their convention experience memorable. Don't judge a book by its cover. In order to create an accepting community we all want, we have to work for it and show each other kindness, understanding, empathy, and basic respect. But yeah, that's the end of this video. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate all the engagement with my last video where I cover the Furries Act in Texas. All of you had really interesting takes on the conversation, and I really appreciate all the engagement and positivity. If you would like to support me in my work, I sell really cute sun and moon hoodies on my Etsy, along with t-shirts and tank tops. Comments, likes, shares, and engagement in general with my channel is also super appreciated. I want to try and put more effort into growing my channel, and with your help I'd like to create more content tackling interesting social issues, specifically in the furry fandom or online spaces. I've been in the fandom since I've been a little kid, and I'm very passionate about how much of a positive impact it can bring to people. But yeah, anyways, let me know what you'd like to see next.